Gentlemen, while the world uses AI as a mere chatbot, we are here to architect a persistent digital brain, a hierarchical command structure designed to offload the cognitive burden of leadership and turn Claude into your most disciplined coworker.
Here is our agenda for this briefing. We will start with the executive summary. Then we'll break down the three core pillars: cognitive architecture, unrestricted integration, and autonomous execution. After that, I will share some confidential intelligence, and finally, we'll look at the AI impact.
Section 1, Executive Summary, the bluff, bottom line up front.
Look, the standard AI interface that everyone else is using right now, it is severely constrained. It's basically an amnesiac. It operates inside these really strict cloud boundaries, heavily restricted to something like 20 files or 30 megabytes per interaction. Because it's stateless, every single time you open a new session, it starts entirely from zero. Think about the friction there. Every morning, you have to painstakingly re-upload your brand guidelines, your strategic goals, your business context, just to get the machine up to speed. You're forced into using rigid, task-first language, which effectively turns you into a micromanager for a digital intern. But what we're building on the right, the Co-work OS, is entirely different. By mounting the system locally on your own hardware, we give it unrestrained access. It develops persistent memory. It allows you to use outcome-first language, fundamentally shifting how you lead. It actually remembers your preferences, your tone, your directives from week to week. It is literally the difference between renting a calculator by the hour and hiring an elite chief of staff who already knows exactly how you think.
Pillar 1, cognitive architecture, the rules and persistent memory.
The entire intelligence hub of this persistent OS rests on 3 deceptively simple text files. And hey, don't be intimidated if you're not an engineer. This isn't complex code. It's just Markdown. Simple, plain text formatting that the machine can read instantly without burning heavy compute. First up, we've got the Claude.md file. Think of this as your master instruction manual. It tells the system exactly how to behave the second it wakes up. Second, the memory.md file. This is the persistent state. It's a permanent, ever-updating notepad tracking your active projects and priorities, so you never, ever have to repeat yourself. Finally, the 00 resources folder. This is your deep knowledge vault, containing things like your communication style or past project data. The absolute genius here is that the system only taps into this vault when it absolutely has to, preserving your token efficiency. And token efficiency is everything. It dictates the cost, speed, and raw power of your AI. Keeping the core lightweight saves critical operational time.
Now, these text files don't just float around randomly. They operate on a strict, hierarchical, rule-stacking governance. Think of level 0 as your national constitution. These root files dictate absolute laws, like always be direct, concise, and highly professional, that apply across all of your operations. Nothing overrides level 0. Then, level 1 introduces dedicated workstations. Maybe you have an email HQ or a personal finance hub. These hubs have sub-rules that neatly stack on top of the root constitution. Level 2 gets even more granular, setting highly specific rules for isolated projects, like a Q3 marketing launch. But here's the kicker. What happens if a level 2 project file tells the system to use casual slang in an email, but your level 0 constitution demands professional directness? The system autonomously defers to the higher power. The constitution wins. The output remains professional, and the conflict resolves itself without you lifting a finger. This hierarchy ensures absolute organizational alignment, perfectly cascading your strategic intent.
Pillar 2, Unrestricted Integration, Local Access and Connectors. Those standard web interfaces we talked about, they deliberately place artificial ceilings on your productivity just to save on their massive server costs. But by granting this operating system secure access to a local, dedicated directory right on your machine, we completely bypass those 20 file and 30 megabyte limitations. Imagine taking a raw folder with over 100 chaotic receipt files, heavy PDFs, blurry JPEGs, random screenshots, and dumping it directly into the system. In the cloud, you'd be blocked instantly. Locally, it processes every single file simultaneously. It finds natural section breaks, extracts the financials, cross-references dates, and generates a flawless, verified ledger in moments. Unrestricted local file processing is a massive asymmetrical advantage. We're replacing hours of tedious manual data entry with seconds of compute. You are essentially multiplying your workforce without making a single new hire. But a digital brain can't stay siloed on your hard drive. To truly replicate a chief of staff, we have to deploy external connectors to pull real-time, cross-platform intelligence. Connect it securely to your Gmail, and it can autonomously scan your last 30-cent emails to flawlessly reverse engineer your exact tone of voice into a permanent principal. Yet my sources indicate the true high-level leverage is in cross-referencing. You can command it to pull a rambling, raw meeting transcript straight from Google Drive and seamlessly cross-reference it against official meeting notes stored in Notion. It will autonomously scan the discrepancies and highlight any strategic commitments that somehow slip through the cracks. Ask yourself, how many strategic commitments has your team lost to the void of forgotten notes? With this integration, nothing is lost. The system becomes your ultimate unblinking auditor. Pillar 3. Autonomous execution, skills, and schedules.
To wield this system effectively, you have to undergo a critical psychological shift. You must adopt outcome-first language. Stop wasting your valuable time dictating step-by-step instructions. Remember, you are speaking to an evolving intelligence, not an intern on day one. Define the end result. Define the tight constraints. Set the absolute quality bar. Demand outcomes. A bad task-first prompt sounds like, first, open this document, then read these paragraphs, then summarize them into bullet points, then make sure it sounds professional. That's exhausting. An outcome-first prompt looks entirely different. You just provide the raw text and say, rebuild this into a clean, editable executive presentation. Maintain structural flow and high impact, no fluff. It understands your constraints and autonomously executes the implicit steps to reach that exact outcome. This shift in language brings us to the absolute pinnacle of current automation, flawlessly scheduled autonomous tasks. Let's map out how this manifests daily. Every morning at 6 a.m., the system awakens. It triggers your root inbox 0 triage rules. By 6:01 a.m., it uses secure connectors to silently scan your incoming communications. By 6:05 a.m., it has cross-referenced those urgent emails against its persistent memory of your active projects, checked your schedule, and drafted contextually perfect replies in your exact tone of voice, all waiting in your drafts folder for review. And here is the true power. Over time, as you offer minute, one-sentence corrections to those drafts, its persistent memory refines the execution protocol. It improves perpetually without your direct intervention.
Section 5. Confidential intelligence. Let us lower the volume and discuss the hidden constraints and optimization tactics.
300. That is your absolute operational limit. You must keep your level 0 root constitution file under 300 lines of text. Why? Because the system has to load this master instruction file at the start of every single session. If you bloat this file with endless, unnecessary rules, you are going to exponentially increase your token burn. Bloating the file means the AI has to rigorously read a dense document every single time you just say hello. It severely drains your usage limits and slows response times down to a crawl. Keep the root relentlessly lean and point to secondary resource files only when the specific situation actually calls for it.
Next up is strategic resource allocation. Intelligence has to be deployed efficiently. Do not use the heaviest, most expensive model for every simple command. You should be relying on the Sonnet model for roughly 80% of your daily operations. It's remarkably capable, incredibly fast, and costs a fraction of the heavier alternative. Save the expensive, resource-heavy Opus model strictly for complex, multi-step dependencies that require deep, lateral reasoning. Summarizing a quarterly report, that's a standard Sonnet task. But asking the system to analyze 3 conflicting legal contracts, deduce hidden liabilities across all 3, and draft a unified strategic counterproposal, that requires lateral reasoning. Save the Opus model for that.
Now, a strict warning, every system has a tactical vulnerability, and right now it is the browser extension. My intelligence strongly advises against using the system's ability to hand off tasks directly to your web browser. Frankly, it is excruciatingly slow and highly unreliable, often abandoning complex tasks halfway through. Worst of all, it burns massive token usage by drastically overthinking. Instead of just executing the core objective, the AI gets completely bogged down reading massive invisible HTML code, overanalyzing background buttons, tracking pixels, you name it. It wastes immense cognitive power on totally irrelevant data. Avoid the browser extension entirely until the architecture stabilizes.
Section 6. The ASI Impact. Compounding Intelligence.
We need to step back and look at this entire blueprint from the macro perspective. We aren't just configuring folders today. We are tracking the exact architectural blueprints, paving the way to artificial superintelligence. The rules, the memory, the patterns, they compound every single session. Think of this memory exactly like compound interest in finance. You are building an intellectual asset that builds vast operational equity over time. While the rest of the market and your competitors are forced to start from absolute zero every single morning with amnesic chatbots, your digital brain is leveraging months of hyper-specific context. This is what elevates your setup from a mere tool to an evolving autonomous entity. Whoever starts architecting this persistent brain today will leave their competitors permanently, irreversibly behind. If you want to track the path to superintelligence from the room where it happens, stay close. Follow ASI Boardroom for the insights that never hit the mainstream. I'll see you in the next update.